Well, the Biden administration has taken women's rights and threw them right in the trash with changes to Title IX. So do not let illiberal Democrats tell you that they stand for women's rights. They don't. I would like to turn to the redheaded libertarian to summarize what this means. I just want to check. We have the F word bleeped from this video. Okay. All right. So yes, we're going to show you this because I think she puts it into context beautifully.
So according to Riley Gaines, the Biden regime has just abolished Title IX as we know it. Sex now equals gender. This means that men can now take athletic scholarships from women. Men can now take academic scholarships from women. Men will have full access to women's spaces on campus. This includes their bathrooms and their locker rooms. Men will now be housed in dorms with women. Student and faculty will have their speech compelled to respect pronouns of these individuals. If you ignore these guidelines, if you question these guidelines, you can be charged with harassment. So I only have one question. Where the are these bitches? What are you doing? Where the is your sea of pink? You know what's worse than having to drive out of state to get your health care? Abolishing the equal protection of women, forcing women to undress in front of men. Not letting them question that because they'll be sued. Compelling their speech, stripping them of their victories, stripping them of their medals, stripping them of their scholarships. Violating their spaces, violating their due process. You can still get your abortions. Make a road trip out of it. I don't give a but you're no longer a woman according to the Biden regime. This has been stripped away from you by subpar men. Parade about that. Wear your pink hats about that. Hug each other about that. Cry about that. Get mad about that.
I am mad about that.
Yeah, where are these women?
Where are those pea-hat women who marched against President Trump because he said hurtful things about other women? But now women are actually being hurt. So where are they? If all you care about is abortion, you're fake. You are not a real feminist. You're just a fancy knit hat wearing pretend feminist. That's fake. So let's go over exactly what's happening. Are you mad? Are you mad, Clayton?
I'm mad. I'm
you
mad.
Already were mad.
I was already mad. I'm in a constant state of madness, but I'm more mad at the hypocrisy of it all.
Yes, that really got me because I expect to see those same women marching against this for our daughters, for college and school-aged children, but they're not. And I don't understand it. So let's go through what it is. Now, Title IX is formally called the Education Amendments of 1972. It's a set of laws that prohibit discrimination on the basis of sex in any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. So most often it's used to make sure that women have fair representation in sports. It's used to protect women in housing, healthcare, education, making sure that women can choose any major they want, making sure that women have the same access to housing and federal grants and those types of opportunities as men typically did. So here are a couple of ways that now Joe Biden has just pissed all over that by including men now in Title IX. Number one, they added, this is the big one, they added the term gender identity to the definition of women, which means that a man can self-identify into these rights. So now these privileges that Title IX affords to women, not just for sports, men can compete in sports. Men can get sports scholarships that were previously offered to women. They can compete for them. They can compete for academic grants, scholarships to schools, and housing opportunities. They can, of course, compete in women's sports and have full access to women's locker rooms. And they can demand that their pronouns are respected, and they can punish anyone who does not use their preferred pronouns. So a man can say, this fellow female athlete called me the wrong pronoun, a he, and now they can be punished. Former Education Secretary Betsy DeVos, she made positive changes to Title IX during the Trump years when she was in office. And she is horrified at the way that her changes were repealed. Here she says this about it. She says, today the Joe Biden administration finalized its radical rewrite of Title IX. I never thought I'd see the day where Title IX was used to harm women, but sadly, that day has come. She says the regulation is an assault on women and girls. It makes it federal requirement that boys be allowed in girls' bathrooms, in elementary school even. Makes it a federal requirement that men be allowed to play women's sports, putting their safety, privacy, and competitive opportunity at risk. And it makes it a federal requirement that feelings, not facts, dictate how Title IX is enforced. Well, she's right about that. And we're going to talk about it. Under the Trump administration, in order to be penalized around Title IX, it had to be an aggressive or a provable offense. Well, now a man can say, well, I don't like how they misgendered me. I don't feel welcomed in this women's only space. And so they can make a report, and the person they're reporting against has no right to due process anymore because the new changes to Title IX removes the right to due process and marks a return to what they're calling it the kangaroo court system. What this means is that under the Trump administration, Secretary DeVos changed Title IX that allowed anyone who was accused of a Title IX violation a real investigation. So they were now, under the changes during the Trump years, now anyone accused was supposed to be notified of their offense, showed the evidence against them, and allowed a live hearing and the right to cross-examine. But now the Biden administration has repealed those changes, so it returns to the kangaroo courts. Well, that's what's coming back now. It's saying that Team Biden restores the Obama-era Title IX kangaroo courts and nixes fairness. And that's what's coming up. And now Title IX requires it. And because of this lack of due process, this is exactly what will happen, is that it will jettison the requirement. I'm sorry, I can't read this and it's not loading. Jettison the requirement that unwelcome conduct and harassment will be severe and pervasive. And instead, it's just subject to something offensive. No longer require schools to have hearings, and also allow colleges to use just a single investigator, and also scrap the requirement that the accused is guaranteed access to the evidence against them, and mandate that universities report all Title IX offenses, even if the purported victim chooses not to report it. So you can see how this is going to go, given that someone can be punished for only speech. Title IX can now punish a woman on behalf of a man and revoke their right to defend themselves. And who will be doing all of this investigating and condemning? Well, Betsy DeVos points out that it's the same illiberal idiots who enforce DEI on campus. So this restores the so-called single investigator model, where the same campus DEI bureaucrat is the detective, prosecutor, judge, jury, and executioner. It functionally eliminates live hearings designed to seek the truth, and it returns education to the preponderance of the evidence standard, where essentially a coin flip about guilt or innocence can remove a student from campus and tarnish their reputation for life. So you can see, think of somebody like Riley Gaines who says, I don't want to compete next to this biological man. It's not fair. I'm not being treated fairly. Well, now this biological man can say, she's not making me feel welcome here. She's hurting my feelings. I'm a woman. Report her, and she can be thrown out of that university and all of her future opportunities stripped.
You know, it's kind of like, remember during the Me Too movement, there are a lot of guys that got caught up in that lost their careers on hearsay, like just because of the court of public opinion. This is going to be flipped the other way now. So now it'll be women, that stand up, that'll get taken to the court of public opinion and canceled without due process.
Right. It's almost like a Me Too movement, but against women, not for women. That's a really good point. Right. Yeah. Okay. Even the ACLU is not down with this, and the ACLU loves punishing people for speech. Here are their oppositions. Basically, it's against this single investigator model. Like, hey, everyone is due process. That's kind of our thing. You get to defend yourself. What happened to innocent until proven guilty? All these Title IX total crap revisions happened in the same week that Joe Biden pretended to cheer for women's rights in sports by calling for Caitlin Clark to get paid more with this tweet that he posted. Women in sports continue to push new boundaries, but they're not paid enough. Get the hell out of here with this. You don't really care about women in sports, or you wouldn't have allowed this Title IX revision. It's a mockery. He doesn't stand for anyone. He says our daughters deserve more. I want to say, get my daughter out of your head. Don't even mention our daughters, sir. Thankfully, I do think that this will be challenged in court. Fire the Free Speech Advocacy Center that I go on and on about a lot because I'm a fan. They say that they're watching this and they will be willing to fight it if they have to, because it is a clear undermine of campus free speech and due process rights. I'm pretty sure they're going to have to. I feel like this is going to be imposed against women in a draconian way. We will see women losing their titles in sports. We will see them losing access to their scholarships, their fellowships, their academic records, all of this. I feel exactly like this woman on Twitter, Megan Maureen, who said that this legislation shows you who actually cares about women and who pretends to. She says, shout out to the feminists that worked hard for equal rights and protection for women, only to vote for people that are taking those rights away from our daughters. Hashtag Title IX. So let me know how you feel about this and fake feminism that supports it. And if you're as pissed off as I am.
I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. You know, YouTube thinks that you'll actually like this next video right here. It's personalized based on your own viewing habits. So if you watch the video, please leave a comment. Let us know what you think about it. And we will see you next time, everyone.